Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
What's up? It's not Friday. I would say, does it ever feel like Friday and then someone like informs you that it's actually Wednesday and you're like, oh man, bummer. That much further away from the weekend. But we are sitting together on this fabulous Wednesday afternoon to talk Critical Role because I'm digging it. We've called you here today. Actually, this is an intervention, guys. Uh, I'm enjoying it. And I'm a huge Brennen Lee Mulligan fan, but like I was ready to bounce off of this. I have fallen off the Critical Role train somewhere in the middle of campaign 3, so I was ready to be like, I don't know. And I'm a kid again, man. It's my new favorite thing. I'm pumped. I bullied you into doing another stream with me about it. How are you feeling so far about all of this?
Here against my will. Um, no, I'm very much enjoying it too. I was in the same boat. I've liked Critical Role. I came in early on in campaign 2. That was my jam, campaign 2. I liked campaign 3 more than a lot of the haters did, but when campaign 3 was done, I wasn't sure I was going to pick up campaign 4 unless they did something, unless they really changed something, because I just didn't think I was like, am I really willing to commit to 4 hours a week, every week for the next multiple years? Because once you start missing, that's a very slippery slope. Because it's
Gotta run
very,
real fast to get back on the train.
it's hard to catch up with a show that broadcasts for 4 hours every week. You know,
So that being said, this may not be an every Wednesday sort of thing. So
imagine if
enjoy it
you
while it
didn't
lasts.
imagine if you didn't understand the football game you were watching because you didn't see last week's football game. It would be like that.
And that's kind of the fatal flaw, I think, of like long form campaign actual play content. But Critical Role is doing something right. What's up, everybody? Happy to see you off schedule on a hump day of all things. I I'm impressed, honestly. I was ready for this to continue our train analogy, a complete train wreck. How are you going to get me to understand and care about 13 characters plus NPCs, have people coming and going, have me have any sort of idea what's going on, any sort of skin in the game, any sort of ground beneath my feet? And I think they've done all of that. And by they, I mostly give credit to Brennan for that. This like masterful pacing and cutting and just table management at a level that I have never seen. It's bananas. At the end of the cool down episode of the first episode, Abria looks into the camera and goes, "This is normal and achievable." And it's the most sarcastic thing said, and it has to be acknowledged up front that like this is insane. This is somebody's on ramp to Dungeons and Dragons, and boy, are they going to have a hard time adjusting to reality when they get 13 of their friends together to play a campaign.
Yeah, I remember them teasing back during campaign 3 about adding more people to the cast, and just thinking, what? It just seemed crazy, and the West Marches idea never occurred to me. It should have been obvious. Look, in hindsight, of course, saying we're adding more people to the cast should be obvious what they were doing, but I thought for a long time it was just going to be two separate campaigns. That was my prevailing theory, was they'd go bi-weekly with the campaigns. And there'd be like Matt runs a table, then I don't know, maybe Brennan, or I thought of Bria, or who knows, maybe Spencer Stark, who knows, somebody would run, or Chris Perkins or Jeremy Crawford, once they joined the team, could run the other table. And I thought Matt Mercer would be a player in that one, but they went very different. They still are going, same world, for everybody, which is important. I think overall for the campaign is important, and I think it's important from a marketing perspective. A
Mm-hmm.
lot easier to run with the same GM rather than two GMs across two tables doing the same world.
Yeah, because there's a lot of plates spinning at once. This is not only a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, which it is first and foremost, but it's also an entertainment product. And like I was ready and honestly kind of like looking forward to maybe a heavier hand or any hand at all at editing. And like beyond a cold open and an intermission, which we're used to, like they're just letting the cameras run, or they're brilliant at or bad maybe at editing because you see the transition of people coming and going. Where do I sit down? Like all that's still in there. And I mean, this was a 4 hour episode, episode two. And at the end, I was like, I wanted more. And I was it, like, felt long, but it didn't feel like 4 hours. Like, I can't remember the last time I sat down and like watched. Well, I didn't watch this consecutively, but like at the end, I was right there with Sam of like, no, don't stop, don't cut it. I need more. And that's a crazy achievement. It's a crazy achievement to like be an entertainment product and like the cornerstone of their like business empire that is growing, and they're knocking it out of the park so far. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, but dang,
There was
I'm here
something
for
in
it.
the early on in the first episode where I think Brennan said something like, "There are so many people standing just on either side of me that you can't see off camera." Because I guess because everybody's there for these overtures. Because I don't think even he knows who he's swapping in and out sometimes. From scene to scene. Because it seemed like there were a couple times there were like he was going to move to a scene and then somebody just got invited to come along with them, and then that PC was then in the next scene. Um, but they don't cut out any of the stuff when they are transitioning and people leaving the table, people coming to the table. Very different from Dimension 20, right? On D20,
Mhm.
they tend to cut out a lot of stuff. They don't. They usually cut out. It's very rare for you to see them like looking up a rule on D20. It happens where they sometimes leave in discussions about the rules or whatever, but most of that stuff just ends up on the cutting room floor and it's just snap, 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 comedy timing, get in and out, get to the top of the scene, get out before it starts to go downhill, cut to the next thing.
And I think that skill set is what Brennan brings. So it's like improv tools. In fact, at the end of this cooldown or whatever, in this cooldown, the like after hours episode that they do, like literally right after they finish filming like the main episode, he talks about the improv like precept rule of get to the story as fast as possible. And I think that is the only reason this is working, or the reason this is like working so well. So often at a table, you'll see players like, I have my cool thing. The way to make it cool is to hold on to it for as long as possible, and it builds up this big reveal, and so often that falls flat. He talks about like, we know that this beat is coming. Get it on the table as fast as possible because the story is what happens after that happens, right? Like Wix, Sam's character is a cleric and his stats are all weird and they're on the screen. And I know he's not a cleric because his wisdom is a whatever, 11, right? He's a charisma
Maybe.
caster.
We don't know.
Clear.
Maybe.
Or he's nerfed himself, which is maybe if it was anyone else, I would say no. But Sam Riegel might do that. But he's a divine soul sorcerer, or he's a warlock with a celestial pack or something. Yeah, spoilers. Obviously, if you're watching this 8 minutes in, we've kind of kept it pretty vague. But we're going to talk about the episodes. So if you want to watch them clean, go for it. If you don't, hang out. It's cool.
Yeah, we're gonna spoil.
At the end of this episode, we still don't quite know what he is, but there's a pretty good telegraphing of like, okay, things are not as it seems. It makes sense that he's not a cleric in this world where the premise is the gods have been killed 70 years ago. He's something else. Cool. Get that out there. Now that's interesting. Get to the good part. Don't hold back. That's one lesson I'm going to like carry with me. Get to the story as fast as possible. The build up isn't what you think it is.
Right. With most Sam Riegel characters, it seems like there's some element of deceit in them that they are, most of them, not who they first appear to be.
Mm.
But it seems like Wickander is at least genuine in his surprise about the things going on. It doesn't, like, maybe he's not a cleric, but I don't feel like he's being deceitful. And he could be, who knows, he could be a charisma cleric. Maybe he just wanted to play a charisma character, but he also wanted to be a cleric, but it also would be a little weird because this would be 2 consecutive clerics in campaigns
Hmm.
after a fresh cut grass, and I don't know if you count what was his face, the paladin he played, Breus. Is that his name?
I didn't get past the explosion. I have some campaign 3 to catch up on.
Oh,
Oh
sorry,
wait,
no,
no,
just
Darrington? Not Darrington? Oh, you can spoil it, whatever you like.
no.
Um,
After FCG dies, he comes back
yeah,
as a paladin who, of course, is not at first who he says he is. Um, Breus, I think. I think Breus was the name.
and it's a very interesting arc to look at those 3 characters. So Scanlan isn't who he says he is because he's like projecting, this image of himself from some set of insecurities, standard, classic. Not is hiding secrets from like shame, right? Like hates herself. This terrible thing happened to her, kind of her fault. She doesn't want to be what she is. Um, and this guy is naive, I guess is the word, right? Like if you come up, he was raised in this family, accepting this propaganda. Like he's wrong about who he is. And we're going to watch him learn that. And what a great and brave character choice. So often players show up with like a level 1 character who has killed several dragons already, right? And Sam shows up as like, my guy has no idea what's going on. In fact, is like
Mm.
vastly misinformed by what's going on. Oh boy, is that going to be fun. 1 to play, but 2 to watch. Like I am always excited. I mean, when Sam's on the screen, I'm excited, but like I want to find out what's up with Wick, what's up with Grandma, code switching between her like Cockney accent to like high posh London whenever, someone's in front of her, like, hey, get rid of the old rug. She's on the
She was
Tayor.
Downton Abbey to Peaky Blinders. Twin Steel says this here. I'm pretty sure I remember us having a conversation on regular casual on Friday, casual Friday, that you don't want to miss your chance when you have your chance
Yeah.
to shoot your shot. If the campaign's gonna sometimes end before you can get all your secrets out. And when the guy says, the other player says, tell me about your backstory, don't turn your head and say, I can't possibly, because that might have been your shot.
Well, one of my least favorite things of campaign 3 was watching Taliesin do that again and again. The you wouldn't understand, I'm too emo hair flip. Like, oh no, not at my table, not on my whatever television screen, not in my podcast. It's like,
And he
dude,
didn't,
share.
and as a consequence, he didn't really get that much backstory in campaign 3.
Mm-hmm.
His backstory stuff was mostly settled by episode 20 or 30 or 40 when they did some research into the Greymoor Academy, and then after that was pretty much it. He didn't really have anything else. It was like he was in a gang, he grew up in an orphanage, and that was pretty much it for him. Which I
Yeah.
guess is what you get when you got an edgelord who doesn't want to talk about their backstory, is you don't get to talk about your backstory.
Hey, if a player asks you, if a PC asks your PC about the character, that is an incredible gift. If an NPC asks you about the character, that's an incredible gift. Swing at the pitches. Take those opportunities because you're not going to get a ton of them necessarily. And if you never swing at the pitch, I'm gonna stop lobbing things your way eventually, especially as a player. You don't want to tell me about your character. Okay, cool. I guess I'll just play this game and tell you about mine instead, because I was only asking so I could tell you about mine in the first place anyway.
Now you ask me back. Ask me back.
Oh God.
Oh, should we share
Yes. So we have a tangled web of player characters here.
but first let's
And
shout out Lubo.
if you're watching this, go watch her. The queen of CR commentary, I would say, for a long time running now.
Yeah, this is a graphic she made for C4 that she shared this on her Patreon. But she also shared this on YouTube as sort of like a Patreon freebie. So thanks, Lubafin Luna, for letting us use this.
Big fan.
How do we want to do this?
Let's go spatially. I love walking through a map. So, who we got? Julian. In this episode, well, I mean, one, just the idea that Matt Mercer is playing a total POS. Right? Like, this guy walks into the funeral where everyone is mourning this beloved character that links them all together, and he spits on the corpse when he gets a moment alone with it. And it's like, okay, what's this guy's deal? I want to find out. And to kind of counterbalance that with, I mean, daddy issues when when you get down to it, um, I think has quickly made this already interesting character three-dimensional. And Matt Mercer playing a character for a long campaign, like, I think we're all waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen there.
Yeah, he definitely in episode 1, he definitely just wanted to go full heel and was not really interested in explaining his character's actions to anyone. It wasn't like he wanted us to let us know that he was still a good guy underneath it all, and that Matt doesn't feel the need to foreshadow that. He doesn't care if everyone views him as the antagonist, so he just came out swinging with no explanations. And I feel like in the second episode we got to see a little bit more of that. Mostly, on the surface it looks like he was just a petulant child arguing with his father, his father was coming to pick him up from the brothel.
Mm.
And his father says, why did you stay here instead of at the very expensive, well-appointed room that we paid for at the nice place on the nice side of town? And well, he said, how wrong of me to expect you to find you here. And then Matt had a great clap back where he said, how does it feel to be wrong again, father?
Yeah.
That was his only
And he,
response, which is pretty brutal thing to say to your dad.
so good. So good. And then he goes to slap him and is taking off the gauntlet. Like, goes to smack him, realizes he's wearing an armored gauntlet, goes to take it off, and is like, all right, whatever. Like that, perfect. In the streets of the city of Demakia. Like,
Yeah.
oh, so good. I have it's not quite a theory, because I don't know if I have anything behind, like, feeling behind it, but like a hypothesis. One way this goes is Julian loved Aranessa. Aranessa Royce is his liege lady,
Mm-hmm.
this royal who's kind of her family's getting pushed out because the doors of fairy are closed. We don't know what that means, and we have a literal fairy in the party, so obviously that's going to be of consequence. Thimble is aging now because of this. But Thiazi Fang married Lady Aranessa, and then fairly soon after, I'm not sure exactly how far down the timeline, led a rebellion against all of the noble houses. 2 years?
2 years later.
2 years. Dang, dude. That's a quick turnaround. I mean, you hear about like rough in-laws, but that's a whole thing right there.
Yeah, we don't yet know Sir Julian's motivations or really how he's going to connect to the other characters, aside from being an antagonist to many of them. In this whole overture, we're halfway through the overture of these 4 prologue episodes, and I'm sitting here thinking like, who's going to be paired up? Who's at which table? Because we don't know that yet, right? I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm like, and I think Matt Mercer, I think he's a soldier. I think that's pretty clear. Um, I don't think Fighter Rogue is a schemer or a what's the other table? Influencers, seekers.
Seeker, schemer, soldier, yeah.
Fighter Rogue and clearly also guy with a sword. I don't see him being anything other than a soldier. But he's really the only one I feel confident about, knowing which table they're going to be at.
It's wild. I ping-ponged back and forth because I basically started to like by class, be like, all right, here's my soldier group. They're like, this
Mm,
guy's a seeker. This is definitely schemery, but it is play style, not character, which go hand in hand, right? You build the character to play the kind of game you want, but
hmm
it's not necessarily a one-to-one correlation. Um, and I've also started to wonder, are we seeing the groups forming, right? So transitioning over, Tayor shows up at the Via Azuna, what's the Aurora, all these like light names in the cadence, the Candescent Creed.
hmm
Uh, he shows up to offer services to Wix. I was like, oh, interesting. Travis is going to be at the table that Sam's at, and like they're playing very different kinds of characters. I wonder what that means. And it occurred to me, are we watching people interact now who are not going to interact for many episodes, right? Are you having all these interrelationships established in the overture before they split up, right? Like, I don't know. Hal is almost always next to Taisha. Does that mean they're in the same group going forward, or does that mean they're going to split up and we're going to see that relationship, and then it's going to be significant when they get back together? Who knows?
Who
Dozens,
knows?
tens, dozens, hundreds of episodes from now. I don't know, but it was cool to see Taylor like he's scheming. He's clearly a soldier in my mind, but now he's
Mm.
going to go work for the other side. It seems. I don't know. And
It's
Grandma's onto
hard.
him.
It's hard not to picture Travis joining the soldiers,
Mm.
because the way he gets excited for combat in D&D, he's giddy like a school child. You know, he's got three fidget spinners on each hand under the table that we don't see a lot of the time. Look, you'll see a lot of time. He'll have the hand under the table, and he's fidget spinning down there. You can see the little blips on the muscles. He's fidget spinning. Travis has talked about his ADD several times. And, he's talked about getting bored at the table and stuff like that. But I don't know. But we're gonna find that out probably in a few weeks. Um, do you want to
Yeah, when we get.
go from Sir Julian Davenos? Do you want to move south or do you want to move east?
Let's move east because we got Tayor, so we went to Cadigan, um, who I love. Like, could easily be a very boring character. Like, oh yeah, I'm the drunk ranger. I crawl in through the window because I'm afraid to use the door, which has some sort of like folkloric old way protection. There's that nail above the door.
Hmm.
He didn't go in episode 1. He didn't enter the house. Now he doesn't enter through the door. So like, is that something?
Hmm.
I don't know. Or is he just a wild man? And it's like, haha, it's funny. But
This
clearly there's
graphic
more to
says,
Cadigan.
yeah, this graphic says Mysterious Ranger, but this is made after episode 1. In episode 2, we learned he was part of the Torn Banner that he fought with Tayor. Because in episode 2 they open up with a flashback battle, right?
Yes, I almost forgot about that. Cold open to a battle that we do not see the resolution of at all. It's like roll for initiative, cut. I imagine we're going to go back to that. It's a flashback, right? So that kind of removes a little bit of the tension. We know none of these characters are going to die, or there's going to be some serious time machine shenanigans coming up. But yeah, Cadigan and Tayor and Azune, who was a kid at the time, essentially, are all level 1 in that intro and are fighting in the Falconers Rebellion, presumably, with
Yeah, I don't.
Theozy.
We don't know very much about the Falconers Rebellion yet, right? It just had something to do with Falcons, people fighting against the great houses.
So many bird references. Uh, I see it's been hinted at, like it was clearly against the nobility. I think these noble houses see a power vacuum with the gods being out of the picture. Someone's got to take power. And we're still watching it play out. Like this rebellion, who we're sympathetic towards, I would say. I mean, we don't know if Theozy's like a good guy, but all these people that we're rooting for, these like heroic protagonists, were part of this, and they lost. And the nobility have since before then been consolidating power, at least in this city. And we saw a few moments of that. Like Azune meets his new boss in this episode, and that
Hmm.
was masterful. Mostly because he got a crit. Do you feel they're rolling very high? It feels like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of dice rolls going on in these like establishing shots, but several momentous nat 20s. Like he insight
Yes.
checks this Ein Hassan, whatever this
Hmm.
guy walks in the door. He insight checks him nat 20, and we get the scope of the full pictures. Like this guy like clearly believes that he should be in charge and is privatizing the police force. Whoopsie. No real world parallels here. Uh-oh. Seems bad, man. Doesn't seem great.
So the Falconers Rebellion was 12 years before, right?
I don't have a firm grasp on timelines, but it
I
feels
think it was 12 years before because I think whatever the rebellion that was 2 years ago was something different.
there's several things. There's like oak and ash or something, which we've gotten very little exposition about. There's another battle or another confrontation that happened that I don't have a clear understanding of, and I'm suspending my. I'm trying to be comfortable in that not knowing instead of running to Reddit and finding every theory about it until it's said on screen. I don't need to know what was said on an interview somewhere or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the official recap for episode 2. They didn't mention the Oak and Ash or the War of the Axe and Vine.
Axe and Vine. I think Oak and Ash is like maybe a tarot deck.
I don't know. Yeah, we as frustrating as it is to only get little bits of information, this is overture though, and so a lot of these things are going to be explored. Like there was a lot of stuff just in episode 2, the world got so much bigger. Because we had heard the names of some of the houses, but in episode 2, it actually describes, the 5. And Brennen Lee Mulligan is a smart dungeon master. 5 great houses, not 9, not 13. They're 5 great houses. He knows what he's doing. This man, 5 great houses, and then some other houses that are not as important. But we see stuff like inside the magic school. We see how these great houses are their Game of Thrones like machinations against each other, even though we don't know very much of it yet. We've got the Downton Abbey / Peaky Blinders people who have who they worship the light, which we find out the light is actually angel juice. That was pretty
Grandpa's in.
wild.
That was incredible. Grandpa in the basement. So the idea that the Celestials that were left after the war, like once the god died who summoned or created the Celestial was out of the picture, these things went feral and
That
were
was
a
cool.
tremendous problem. Like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, that makes sense. These things are just killing machines now, and we found out about 3 of them. I believe we've got one from presumably the humans, right? These humans have an angel in the basement that they are milking like a maple tree to get
Yep.
their filament, get the magic juice out of him, his blood, his sap, which is the source of their power and also the most terrifying cliffhanger to end on I think I've seen in a long time. Like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Very,
yeah.
very freaky. And there was the celestial, the halfling celestial is
Mm,
the coffin. They found the coffin. There was that was a very detailed subplot involving what's her name? Mercer's character, big boobs, Murray Magnuson, and was it Bolaire? Yeah, where they go to she works at the Mages College, and so the two of them go to study the coffin or like. I was kind of confused about that part. It was a mask, but it was a coffin. Was that the same thing? Were those two different things?
They open the box at the end of episode 1. Abria pokes it. She pushes the button. Good on her. She fails to save and pass and is dropped to 0 hit points immediately. And the mask or there's ceramic shards. They form into a mask. Then the bottom of this thing kind of drops out into infinity, and smoke fills the room. They close the thing. Open of episode 2, or early in episode 2. We find out this thing was a little snuff box in my mind, or it was smaller than a breadbasket, but we find out that this is actually the size of a halfling coffin, which is quite a bit bigger, and that it is fairly new. The wood is fairly new, but it is covered in these ancient silvered plates in celestial and halfling, and the psychopomp, which is a great word. The celestial that used to ferry halflings through this purgatory type of space to halfling heaven. Presumably what is in this box, or at least that's kind of what this box is saying, after Murray and Bolaire take it to Bolaire's museum, which is also a great way to drop lore. It's just all right, cut to the museum where I explain a lot of what happened in the Shapers' War and stuff.
Oh, you're right. They didn't take it to the Mages College. They took it to his place.
They took it to his spot where he works in the Loy wing, which is Taisha's family, and there is a pariah blade, which he describes so eloquently and never says it's cold steel, but they figured out how to make a cold iron blade, and that is the weapons that could kill the gods were cold iron. So that he talks about this arduous process to craft these things without it being touched by fire. And it's oh, sick, cold iron's back, nice.
So the halfling, was there another celestial that was mentioned?
The elves' psychopomp has some relationship with this Stone of Night song, the thing that Ashley's character has come looking for. Valis?
I think it's Valis.
Right? Valis? The veil, yeah, Valis. I feel like it's wrong because she's wearing a veil. But she is looking for it. Thimble and Thiazi stole this thing. And we find out, again, through some pretty crazy rolls, that it has something to do with the celestial that would ferry the elves to. So there's death everywhere. And one of the interesting things, especially in the D&D campaign, about what does a world look like without gods in it, is what happens when you die, especially in this game that we have been promised is going to be more deadly than your typical CR campaign. How does resurrection magic work? We know teleportation barely works past Misty Step, so what are we going to do now? We did get a really lovely Spare the Dying from Cadigan poking Thiazi and being like, yo, for real, bro? Are you just messing with us? That said a lot about their relationship. That was really, I don't know. The dark humor is always heartwarming to me. I enjoyed that one.
So I don't know if we knew in episode 1, but we definitely learned. But I don't remember now why we went to the arcane college. But we learned that arcane magic is illegal in a lot of places, which they stole that from me, by the way. See, definitely stole that from me. Nobody had ever done that before I did it.
Jim invented it. Everybody, TM, patented.
TM. Yeah. So there's this plot about the houses influencing the ability to use magic, and because at the very end, it was near the end of the episode. I don't remember. Do you remember what was Murray doing at the school?
She was going to work. She's like, "Oh shit, the sun's up. I got to go to work.
Oh right.
I have papers to grade." And it was just D&D with the day job is like such a
That's
that's
funny.
a thing you can do in a city campaign. You're not going to go to work from the mega dungeon, which is like, oh, I have class in a little bit, and she finds out, hey, more corporate capture. The nobility here have sacked. I want to say Long Bottom. It's like tall barrel. The halfling dean has resigned, quote unquote, has been forced out because you capture the police force, you get rid of the authorities, right? You get rid of the intellectuals. Classic, classic playbook we're witnessing in real time, very early on. Wouldn't expect less from Brennen Lee Mulligan, but
Yeah. Do we know specifically why they pushed him out?
to install their crony,
Just to put
right?
their guy in.
I think it got buried a little bit because she's doing her mom essentially. We've heard she's doing Kentucky holler punk wizard, which I love. So she's coming out with all these bananas expressions. So there was like an interlude about it being fishy because there's coins in her pocket or some shit. And it was just we leaned into the humor instead of the lore, which is almost always the right answer. But
Mm.
that was about whichever house's like lackey being pushed in to head up this university now.
So Azuna Nayar is Luis Carrazzo. He's a cop, basically.
He's like a detective though, because he's got a license to arcane. He's out there like casting detect magic on the beat, trying to enforce this seemingly fairly recent edict, or like progressively more and more draconian edict against magic. So we find out in this one that yeah, he's a lot of the other divisions are now being replaced by the guards of this noble house, but his branch is special, so they're going to be subsumed, but he still has his job for now.
So did the authorities know before that he was part of the Falconers Rebellion?
Um, un unknown as far as
Mm.
I know, but I think there was like clemency, right? Like there was this sort of like peace accord. Like Thiazi was running around, you know, doing his thing, skullduggery and what have you. But he was a free man. Teor just walked back in. Cadigan could come and go as he pleases. Like the Falconers Rebellion at its end kind of didn't end up with everyone imprisoned, let's say. In fact, Thiazi's was the first public execution in this city ever. So it's likely that Azune's past is known, and he's a capable warrior, and you'd want to bring those guys in, right? Operation Paperclip, not to get too far down a crazy rabbit hole. Don't say the word.
Yikes.
Yikes! Someone's got to build rockets. So Azune is probably a known entity.
And we talked about
Can we
Valus a little bit and
can we
Thimble.
talk about Thimble? Can we talk about Laura Bailey? Like, damn, man, like we're watching masterful performances from all of these people, and then she comes on the screen and is just like, at least for me, right? This is clearly just subjective opinion, but goddamn, she's in a class of her own. It is nuts. Like I don't know what award actual plays get, but she should get it. Best
She had
actress. Whew.
she had a lot of heavy lifting to do, coming out of the gate crying like that. Coming out just her she didn't get time. All of her previous PCs had got to do cute character introductions or some kind of like endearing save the cat moment, that
Mhm.
everybody wants to have when they introduce their character. She didn't get to do that. She had to go straight to like the most traumatic day of her life. Go. It's the
Go.
worst day of your life. Role play that. Go.
You're
Uh,
dead. You're almost dead. Oh, you're not quite dead. Hey, guess what? Your best friend and partner dead. Go.
Speaking of that partner thing, there was kind of a weird thing. I'm noticing a lot of the species differences. Like it looks like she's a tiny creature, not a small creature, which they are in the
Hmm.
player's handbook. But the thing about the gates of fairy being closed, I don't really know what that means, other than like she can't go back to her Fey homeworld, I guess. And there was a thing about her being a gift, like she was a gift to Theozy. And there was a little bit of reference in the episode of like, oh, so you were a pet, you were a plaything, and she's like, no, we were partners. But that was a little kind of unclear about how it was like she was given to him. I didn't quite follow that part.
It's weird. Yeah. Lady Royce, I forget her last name. It's actually over on the left. She bestowed Thimble upon Thiazi on like the eve of their wedding, or like what's her name, Lady Aranessa. Aranessa gave Thimble to Thiazi, and Thiazi was like, I'm not exactly comfortable with this arrangement. Like, are you cool? And Thimble was like, I guess this is cool. Like, and so he was like a great, yeah, they were partners, but obviously the relationship was potentially established to be much different, and that seems to be like a Royce thing. Welcome to the family. Here is your Fey servant. And
Mm,
there, in my mind, there's some correlation between the doors of fairy closing, which is just like a beautiful epic, like Celtic mythology. Like I like an old school Fey realm, um, whatever mythology thread in my high fantasy. But it seems like the Royces are kind of on the outs, right? They're still a force to be reckoned with, but they're not one of these houses that are like taking over the city right now. Um, so yeah, I don't quite get it, but the consequence of it is that Thimble is now aging, which means she wasn't before. So we don't know how old she is, but she was 18 when she showed up, and now she looks older since the clock has started, now that the doors to fairy are closed. And
mm.
again, I am sure we will hear way more of that, how it happened, the ramifications of it all as things progress. Because there was this really interesting moment. Thimble and Valus are like going at each other because Thimble's like, you did this. Like she's just lashing out, trying to figure out what's up. Like, yeah, we stole your stupid rock, but that doesn't mean you had to like kill Thiazi or like set him up or something. Um, and they like kind of settled that to a degree. And then she's like, oh, you're an elf. Like we have some sort of connection, kinship here that all these humans and orcs don't get. It's like when you're traveling abroad and you meet a fellow a countryman, right? Like you meet
Hmm.
another American when you're in Europe. You're like, yo, where are you from? Like, Baltimore, cool. I've been there twice. We're best friends now. So that sort of dynamic, which again I project into. All right, are they at the same table?
Mm.
Who's where?
That would make sense, especially I can foresee some sort of story arc in the future where Thimble contracts some kind of Fey sickness and has to return to the land of Fade in order to heal it. So they have to reopen the gates to the doors of Fey, and so then they go uncover whatever conspiracy that the Royce house has been up to that caused the gates to close, and they have to expose that in order to open the gates so they can get back
Hmm.
to heal Thimble and maybe Valus too. And they're gonna go bathe in the waters of Lake Wutcha Wutcha to rejuvenate their fairy powers.
Classic. Classic, love it. So they, well, actually, I think Ashley had to leave because she's like a professional actress who has other stuff going on. But I thought Valus was going with the group, going to the Crow Keepers, who are I think they're at the Rookery, some other bird reference. I forget, too many to keep track of at this point. There's more birds than characters, and there's a lot of characters. But they go to like the Thieves Guild who are implicated in Thiazi's or whatever, the intervening in Thiazi's escape plan. And I love the moment of, you said Peaky Blinders before, like there was definitely like the guy in the back was like, all right, let him in. And Laura says her piece. Brennan's like, all right, roll persuasion. It's like, well, 12, 13. He's like, okay, roll initiative. we know what's up. That didn't work. Nah, you're getting jumped. We'll see you next week. Get out of my table. Next group, please. This episode was a masterclass in cliffhangers, like how to end a session of just like cliffhanger, and then like that last beat of an angel and an Iron Maiden in the basement getting juiced was incredible. But like even before that, all of these other beats, there's a new sheriff in town, quite literally. Your college has been overturned. You're about to fight. That's classic, and that's the one I'll reach for often. If it's like, well, we're gonna end early or go late, like roll initiative. You know what? Let's do it next week. Think about this for the rest of the week, guys. I'll see you.
Brennan has this style that's so different than what Matt Mercer does, where Matt will let a scene sort of run its course before moving on to the next thing. And Brennan will do this thing where it's so wild. I don't know how he does this. But he'll just say, okay, we're going to move to this next scene, and these are the people who are in it. And then then they just start role playing, and he's like, okay, we're going to go to this place. Travis, you're there too. And I'm like, does Travis know what he's supposed to do in this scene? Like, he was just told that he's in the scene, and now they're all role playing, and then Travis is going along with it. I'm like, did Brennan tell them beforehand? Like, because we've got all these people, we're going to start here and move over to that so we can get, I know it's not scripted, but maybe they did a little bit, and like having a scene order or something. Cause it seems like he's like, okay, now we're going to go to this scene and it's got these people in it. Go. And then they role play all this to get to an end, and then we switch to this scene. I saw him do that the first time on Fantasy High, the first season. They were they were at the school. It was like they're at the school, and everything was taking too long. You could tell to Brennan's liking, things were taking too long. They were just kind of like role playing and being silly and meeting NPCs, and you could tell Brennan was like just kind of push things along. And there's a point where he goes, okay, now we're going to move on to the Basrar scene. And they moved over to a diner that they all frequent. And there wasn't really any mention before of like, oh, something's happening at the diner later. Or maybe there was like one line like that he dropped in, like, you know, oh, the gang's going to be at the diner later. But then nobody like made any motion to move the scene toward that. There was nobody like, I guess we better meet up at Basrar's after school. But then Brennan just goes, okay, we're moving to, we're going to move over there. And then there was a combat, and they had a set with the diner. So it was clearly planned in advance. It was like, Brennan's got to get them to the diner by the end of the scene by pointing their improv in that direction, but it didn't happen. So he just picked them up and moved them, which I would always found very interesting. And I wondered if he was going to do that kind of same thing here.
And now we're seeing him do it not live, but unedited, right? Like when you see that in an edited product, it's like, okay, like maybe they had a conversation between the scenes or whatever. Now he's just like, boom, boom, boom. And it shows how well it can work. I mean, okay, we're going to say it fucking every time we have a talk like this probably, but these are professionals, blah, 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 blah. Mercer effect is now the Mulligan effect. But like the things you can achieve when everyone is pushing in the same direction, like I feel like if I were to do that at both of my tables, there's a non-zero chance someone would be like, oh, but I just want to, before we do that, I want to do, and like, that's perfectly acceptable. But seeing what happens if that never happens, right? Seeing if there is no interjection, it's just like everybody is yes-ending in the realist way possible of yes. Like, yes and is yes first, and is not just the dungeon master but the players. When everyone has that trust to let Brennen be like, cut this, that, smash cut to this, like we're doing this, this happens. There is no metagaming, retconning, interjections like, oh, but what if I use my strength as a persuasion modifier instead or something. Like no negotiating. It's just you go with it and stay on the same page with everybody. It's so much better. It's wild. Like that, I think that's a bar that's worth reaching for. Um, in comparing your home game to this, just getting everyone on the same level and just like trusting each other, right? Like it's mostly faith in Brennen, but it's also faith in the other players. Someone says something and you just go with it. It's like, and I think my guy would be over here doing this. It's like, no, yes, I'm doing, yes, whatever it is,
Well,
I'm here.
you got to think one of the main goals of this overture is to take all these 13 people and to sort them into their houses. Uh, um, and so, I assume that probably, so the scene was they go over to the Wikander Halavar, yeah. They go over to where the Halavars are,
Casa
Halavar and Tyranny.
Luminessa. What is it? Yeah, I said it before,
Yeah,
but the Bright House.
yeah, whatever it is, and then Brennan says, "Travis, you're in this scene."
Mm.
And I wonder if that they just, Travis and Sam they know they're going to be at the whatever table together. And so Travis just going, okay, this is just Brennan giving us a chance to establish our relationship that's going to be going forward. And maybe he knew, and when he goes in there, Travis's character asks to, I want to become your bodyguard. Or no, what happened was, okay, I'm remembering it now. Brennan threw the cart explodes outside.
Yes.
Which gives Travis a chance to go be a hero, and then
Because he rolls another nat 20 because everyone is throwing rocks these episodes.
It'll come back around, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna die next episode because it's all in that once.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like
I understand math.
If Travis and Sam know they're going to be at a table together, then it seems perfectly logical, that for them to be just thrown into a scene together, and Brennan gives them an event that they can then role play around. That event being, the guy getting hurt. Then they can role play that around and actually give their characters a chance to make it look more organic when they're actually all at the table together.
Mm-hmm. And there's such power in we have 4 episodes, right? It goes back to like get to the story as fast as possible. But the idea that there's a container that we have to fit all of this in. You have 4 episodes to hit all these moments. Don't dilly-dally, don't hold back. Just lean in and go for it. I think creates a way better game. And I can't believe we're almost an hour into this episode and haven't said Tyranny once, who might be my favorite character. She came on screen and I was like, oh boy, I'm ready to hate you. And nope.
Well, to her to defend her, in her first episode, her character got drunk.
Yes.
And if you were to judge a person you meet based on their first time based on them being drunk, that's not, drunk people don't always make their best foot forward. So in the second episode, she was much more reasonable. I concluded she was a silly goose from episode 1. And I don't know. Silly gooses sometimes work in roleplay games, sometimes they don't.
Valid, yes. And I was ready to be like, oh, this can get old. But I am here for it. Also, she's an unknown entity to me. I haven't seen Whitney Moore in anything ever. So there's always like, all right, new person, let's see what you got. And it's solid gold. The scene with her sisters with enmity and cruelty, and then the nerdy one. It was like the perfect little like Mean Girls clique.
Let's see. I'll find the name.
Yeah. Also, just like great. I'm a word nerd. Great word choices for vices.
Agony.
Agony. Right. Yeah. She's constantly hurting herself. Yes. Agony.
Well, Agony
This
is the
whole
little one, right? The one who had that most haunting line.
what
When
was that?
I think Agony is the young, or maybe it's Cruelty, but when Tyranny says something like, I've got a friend, was talking about making friends with someone, and the little one said, "Oh, that's fantastic. Then we can use your friends to our ends," or something like that. We're like, "Oh God,"
Yes,
and he does it in that
yes,
like little kid kind of voice. We can use them to our
yes,
ends.
yes. God, so good. The devil in a red dress, right? Or a
Hmm.
fluffy tooled dress in this
Right.
case, of like, because there's this and it's unclear. She clear like, does she care for? Because so she's in on whatever the hell is going on. She knows Grandpa's in the basement. Obviously, this religion's full of shit, and that the demons are something. She's in on it, and Wick isn't. And it's like, oh, is she like protective of this guy because he's like just good and naive, or is it just like, yo, man, this guy can't hang. You're making a mistake here. Like he's not cut out for this shit. Like I'm still not sure, and that's a fun place to be.
Yeah,
And
I
I don't
kind
know.
of yeah, I got the feeling like that Tyranny and her sisters are working with the Halavars in a way that makes them think they're allied, but they also have their own sort of otherworldly ambitions that maybe we don't get, otherworldly intentions that we don't exactly understand. It's got to be schemes on schemes on schemes to fill three tables full of stuff in the same world. There's got to be a lot of backstabbing and scheming going on.
Yeah, he says it in the cooldown, but Brennan like he's like, we're not starting a campaign. We're starting three campaigns. And like you feel it. This is like an overstuffed Oreo of high fantasy. There's so much going on. And as my players have learned to their chagrin time and again, the difference between a demon and a devil is you
Mm.
can make a deal with a devil.
Mm-hmm.
Demons don't have to keep their word. So it's gonna be interesting.
And well, that's another good distinction. They are calling them demons, but are they tieflings? We don't know if Tyranny has a different kind of stat block. I've got the feeling there's a lot of homebrew running around here.
Mm.
Because we know that Perkins and Crawford made some subclasses for them. And we know that Mr. Matthew Mercer quite often makes custom subclasses for his players. Quite often he makes the most overpowered. I think that's why they ask him because they know he's going to make them something OP.
Yes. Can I be a wizard with a gun, please? No, not it. No, please don't. All right, artificers, fine. Um, there is a throwaway reference to the pit, so like I think they actually came from the abyss. Whatever the stat block, I don't know if she's like a tiefling on the label or what, but they did like say from like they came from the pit, which I assume is some version of hell.
We'll have to look out for the hellish rebuke in
Mm.
if the first time that she's in combat. So we still have it. We still have a couple of people over here we haven't mentioned at all. Octus. We haven't really talked about Taisha or Bolaire, or we haven't talked about Hal really.
Ooh, which is kind of wild. I like the main character energy of like just like the sad boy party host, right? Like Hal's giving Bilbo, right? If you're gonna have a main character, he's gonna be like, "Oh, can I fill your cup?" Like that's the only way you have like a central pillar that actually doesn't steal the show and make me hate you in a D&D campaign. The song, man, with his daughter, like Broken Wing, like I love in canon like art is always a cool way to world build for me. And like mentioning how like the meaning of this song has changed, like pre-rebellion, during the rebellion, and now after the rebellion. It's like, this revolutionary song now has a different meaning. And that's actually what I think got Cadigan over the line to enter the house, even though he came in through the window, right? Cadigan comes in while they're playing that song. Am I misremembering that? I think
Don't
that whole party
remember.
shows up. Yeah. But that was That was a beat. And this whole like orcs are poly. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know what the terminology is, but he's got they're half sisters with different moms, and everybody's cool. It's just is this what the Fangs are like? Is this what orcs are like? Is this what everybody's like in this city? I'll admit I'm curious.
Mm.
I want to know. It's not my business, but I want to make it my business.
It's very interesting to see what's going to happen between Hallandil and Taisha. As we know, Abria, whenever she comes into a Critical Role project, she has to have an X in the cast.
Hmm.
And not just an X, also an X that they have very complicated feelings about. Uh, and so given her history, there's going to be some kind of intense love-hate thing, unresolved issues / still some feelings there between her PC and Hal. I'm very curious to see how Silly Goose Abria and very serious fucking Goose Liam are going to. Sorry for the F-bomb. I felt like that's the one we get to keep
Yeah,
the show PG-13.
we get one,
But
and it's about how he's always going to be the sad boy. I'm a bard whose brother just died. I'm very conflicted about this deed I got. I put the sword on top of it.
so we'll see there. I'm curious to see how that plays out, to see if they're going to be at the same table. Or if she's going to be at the same table with Sir Julian Davinos. I can't imagine they're going to be at the same table, but
But I hope they are. I want to see more of that. But yeah, the whole like will they, won't they, again. It's not a trope you get a lot of, but she always
she owns it.
brings. She owns it. That's her thing.
That's her trope.
Oh.
You know what, Cultural Project? If you would have seen from the beginning, this is Critical Role Campaign 4 Breakdown and Theorymancing Casual Friday, Wednesday Special Edition. Special Edition.
That was always the title, and
It was always
I
the
love
title.
it. It was always the title. I gotta say, speaking of characters I was prepared to really not like, I'm digging Belair. I was like, Taliesin made a dude in a mask. Like, oh god, here we go. And he's great. He's great. I like it.
The introduction was very weird when he sees Thiazi Fang and has a kind of a weird henchman or main villain laugh, kind of a maniacal villain laugh. That was very weird. We really don't know what Belair's deal is, right?
Yeah.
He's as far as we can tell, he's got nothing to do with the Torn Banner or any of those shenanigans. And he's just he's a businessman who once touched a mask he shouldn't have touched, and it got stuck to his face, and that gave him Carrot Top hair. I don't know if the hair was there before or what. But yeah, we know, except for maybe Octus Belair, we know the second least about.
Yeah, I would say we know more about Octus, even though
so?
we know he's a virgin, which he did not share, but we shared for. I love they're shipping him with an NPC already. Clearly he's a necromancer, right? We had this little foxy thing is made up of different foxes and has button eyes, which is like, what is the cutest, most creepy thing I could make at the same time? It's like, I think he got pretty close. I think you could do better, but like not by much. And his house is clearly up to no good. In fact, Wix's grandma is like, yeah, the reason we killed Thiazi is because they wanted him dead. And like, I don't know what they're up to. And she's got Grandpa in the basement getting milked for angel blood. So like, if she's worried about what the Taconuses are doing, and they're like, whatever, seventh born son is just playing with little necromantic dolls. Yeah, and his dad's looking for him. That was the stinger in I think it was the college. I think that was the singer in Murray's like cutaway was
Primus
his dad.
Taconis.
Yeah, he shows up and is like looking for his son because he goes to that. Doesn't even go here anymore, but he goes to that school. But yeah, we don't have a ton of development on Octus or Bolaire. And
So
again,
this says
get your stuff up.
Octus was in on the escape plan, so he is related to them somehow. But we don't know much about, like, we don't know why his dad's looking for him, right? We don't know why the Taconuses are. We don't know anything about what they're up to.
We don't know his relationship with Taisha because there's clearly there is one. There's some kind of like I'm getting like mom son, like mentor protege energy. For
Mm.
a second, it's a Bria, right? So for a second, I was like, are they? But she's trying to like the NPC. Her daughter asks her if they're hooking up or not. So established no, and she tries to push her on to Octus. So like, I don't know, something's going on there.
Mm.
But I got Murray, favorite character out of the
Yeah.
right now. If I had to rank everybody, coming into it, I would just say whatever Sam's doing. But like, oh God, do I maybe because I lived in Appalachia for actually technically still live in Appalachia, but I know Murray. Like I worked with Murray for a couple of years. Like I love these people. What fun. Oh God.
Yeah, I don't feel like we've really gotten to know her very well yet. I feel like in this overture, certain characters are very much standing out as because they have to put us into the story somehow, and so they have to put us into the story that it affects certain characters the most. Like Hal and Wickander and Sir Julian and Teor and Azune, whereas people like Thimble and Octus and Valus and Murray, basically everybody on the right side, the southeast quadrant, most of these people, I feel like their story bits just they haven't been able to touch on them yet. Like sending Murray and Bolaire to the Pentaveral, that's what it was. That's where they were.
Mm.
Pentaveral is the name of the school, but like sending them to go examine the mask is clearly like a just a side character thing in the movie when they send the two side characters so they have something to do. They send them to do a certain side quest just so they're not in the way of the main quest.
Ooh, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit because I
Okay.
think this is actually so like we haven't got as much, but I think like what the criminal network was up to. Like Thiazi was like acquiring these magic items, relics. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
Taisha showed up with this psychopomp halfling coffin thing for Thiazi, and um, Valus showed up because Thiazi stole her psychopomp magic item thing that got the elves back to heaven. Murray and Voltaire are part of this, like, kind of the more respectable end and the more academic end of this weird trade in magic items where arcane magic is like heavily regulated, if not totally illegal now. So like I think this like side plot right now with all like the familial stuff going on and the history and the soldiers and the war and like what was this? You tell me there was a revolution. I want it like, wow, what am I on their side? What happened there? But the magic items that have power over life and death in a world where the gods have died, I think are going to be fundamental to the campaign going forward. I would say that they're sitting there poking at a MacGuffin, and that's going to drive. Well, again, we're talking about 3 campaigns here, so one of the campaigns I think is focused on that. I feel like that's maybe the secret arc of like, how do you get to heaven in a world where we killed the gods?
Yeah, and in a world where it happened recently, that's the real difference here. I think one thing I'm enjoying about this campaign is it was long enough ago that it happened within a lot of some humans' lifetimes.
Mm.
So the people who remember, it's like being able to say you can remember growing up before the internet. I remember when there were gods. Um, the Oh, there's one thing I wanted to ask you. What do you? I think we both said we like the cold opens, but how do you feel about the announcements in the void?
I mean, I don't love them, but honestly, I never loved them, right? Like it makes it slightly harder for me to skip. But I don't know. I'm not buying a lot of merch. Sam's bits kill some of the time. Like that first bit was incredible. Sam as
Yeah.
the debutante in his dressing room in that robe smashing things like, oh my god, I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Um but yeah, I skip them. I'm not going to New York for the live show. I missed the wedding. Um mm, yeah, I don't have a strong feeling. It makes it harder to scroll to the part I'm interested in. But
Yeah, I mean, I know why they have to do it. I imagine due to Brennan's schedule, they're batch recording, so
mm,
they can't insert the announcements because they probably maybe might not have deals, and you can't record an ad spot for months in the future if you don't know exactly when those deals are going to be done and that kind of stuff. So they can't they can't record the announcements. We know that they recorded these overture episodes were recorded basically like over the summer.
yes, I mean, so a couple of things. One, this is a unique little arc that we're witnessing. I don't know what's going to happen episode 5, and I'm very interested to find out what the formatting is like. Maybe we go back to that. Um,
I've seen
but yeah,
some people predicting so there's going to be 3 episodes a week, and I really don't think they're going to
whoa,
do that.
folly.
It's
No, I
yeah, I
will
think
take their money. No way. I bet
yeah,
against that.
I'll take that bet. The reason that one of the reason why they're able to attract so many people, all these new people, is that they're probably going to be going from, whereas before it was like 3 weeks on, one off pretty much, or, every except for the last. So they were recording about 40 or so episodes a year, a few live shows, a couple one shots for sponsored stuff. But if they're just going to have the show once a week, rotating 3 casts, now all of a sudden everyone is recording 20 episodes a year, 15.
Mm.
They still get a weekly show, but then I imagine like they're going to bring in Luis Carrazzo and he's going to record an episode every day for a week. And then that's going to be like, and then everything they recorded then, that's January's episodes. And then Luis goes off and does his own thing for 6 more weeks till he comes back, scheduled when everybody's going to be there. I imagine that's how they do it because I don't, Brennan has another like 2 full-time jobs. Worlds Beyond Number is still going on, and Dimension 20, he just signed a new contract, a multi-year contract to make stuff for them.
And he's on 7 other shows on that network.
And I know that most of the Dimension 20 stuff, I know that from what I understand, they do mostly like weekend filming. Like they'll record an episode on Friday and then they might do 2 on Saturday and a couple on Sunday. And they do those over the weekends because like, Lou Wilson has a Monday to Friday gig as the announcer on Jimmy Kimmel and everybody else is doing stuff too. So Brennan's not doing Critical Role on his weekends.
The real world logistics of a D&D game are only magnified
Yeah.
here. We were just talking about that for our own personal reasons, like the scheduling monster that has to be slain to make this happen. And we're
Yeah.
not dealing with 13 people who all have to be in the same room for hours and hours and hours, like on camera. Like I don't know if they're doing hair and makeup. I'm certainly not. I don't know what your camera ready routine is, but I brush my teeth even though you can't smell my breath on air. That's part of my ritual. That's a little tidbit about me you get for hanging on to the end of the episode. Just makes me feel ready. I don't know. It helps me get
Sure,
my game
no, I
face
get
on.
it, sure. Whatever it takes. Are we done talking about the characters?
I think we've hit everybody. It's hard to tell because there's so many of them, but I think that's everybody.
It is many of them. I was thinking, when we were talking about, I don't remember what Octus's familiar is named, but
I want to
the
say
patch
Pip, and I'm like 80% sure.
Pip,
Something like that.
the
Pip?
well, the patchwork, Then when you said, I don't know what could be creepier than that, I didn't hear the next like 90 seconds of what you were saying because all I was thinking of like what could be creepier than that. And I came up with something. So my pitch would be it's all patchwork. It's like a completely patchwork fox, like completely stuffed animal, except the teeth are real.
Oh,
Only the teeth are real. Everything else is full stuffed animal.
oh man, that makes me think of two things. One, I finally got my physical copy of Dolmenwood, which we talked about. That's more casual Friday conversation. But in that, there's not even a big bad, but there's this like monstrous creature who has like ensorcelled some children to collect teeth for him, which is one of the most horrific things ever. Except maybe the fact that this angel in the basement, Sam's grandpa, has multiple rows of molars, though, because presumably angels are vegetarians. I don't know. That makes a weird amount of sense to me, but like just all molars, baby, but like sharks, just rows of molars. It's like, well, I don't know. I didn't, that hit a button I didn't know I had. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's very awful. Thank you for that, I guess. Woof. Damn. Yeah. Epic. Like that's the way you end a 4-hour thing to get me to want to watch more.
Yeah.
Good on you. Impressive feat.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything else to say. I made some notes, and I think we touched on everything. Pharaoh Celestials, the Falcon's Rebellion,
Cold Iron, Psychopomps, birds. Yeah, get to the story, everybody. Like, what a great piece of advice. Just birds. We know that there's a beat coming. We know that there's part of our character's backstory we want to deliver, or a thematic moment we want to get to. Don't place that at the end of your campaign, which we might never reach. If you have a plan about what's going to happen in 8 sessions, maybe it's better if it happens in 8 seconds. Like, just get it out there, and then see what develops when you step into the unknown after you've delivered what you have. Cool. Good.
Cool.
Maybe do this again. I don't
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Tell us if you enjoyed this, because maybe we'll keep doing it if people watch it and stuff, right? This is kind of interactive. It's definitely, you can help make more of these. If you enjoyed it, tell us, because we're more likely to.
And if you like it and you want us to come back and do it, we might actually put some structure to it. It'll be casual, I promise. We will never be fully organized. That is our promise to you. We will never fully organize, but we might make a structure to this so that it would be not just two guys rambling about how much they liked an internet television show.
Keep it casual.
Speaking
out there,
of,
everybody.
Go watch Garth Marenghi's Dark Place on the internet. It's great. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. It's amazing. It's an old BBC show. Very funny.
I'm writing it down. Bye, everybody. See you Friday.
I'll push the button.
Push the button. Oh, no.
Push
the button.
The button has been pushed.